We recording.
All right, welcome back, folks, to the next episode of the Cole and Austin podcast. We're going to be switching things up here a little bit, a little change of pace on the flow of what we're going to be talking about, how we're doing things. As you can tell now, we got some video. We're going to be getting more video here soon. We're going to get a few more cameras. We'll have a couple two shots here of us, like one of Austin, one of myself. It'll look a little bit nicer. We got some decorations that we've started putting up. We got a little recording sign, some flags in the background. We'll have more for you.
I was gonna say we're gonna put some posters up in the background because this was just kind of to cover
Spur
up
of the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cover up the nasty wall.
So for those of you that don't know, what's that flag behind you there, Austin?
The Norwegian flag.
And why do you have the Norwegian flag hanging up behind you?
Because my mom's side is from Norway. Mom's side lives in Vadsø, Norway.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's
okay. So just a little bit back towards your roots, towards your heritage.
Yeah, just Well, I mean, obviously we live in America, but this is my roots, and I wouldn't be here without my roots. So
fair enough. And I got this guy here because I ordered some stuff on Amazon, and I needed to add a few bucks to it so I could get free shipping. So I got this cool looking not really canvas, this tapestry poster looking thing that's, I don't know, a sun and a little
some steps.
Pueblo looking thing down here. There's a doorway and some steps. Yeah, I don't really know what it is, but it looks cool.
We'll get something cooler in the background for next episode. It's just something to
just some filler
spice
space
it
here.
up a bit.
Anyway, so like we said, we're going to be changing some stuff up here. We're going to be a little bit more of an alternative news podcast. We're just going to touch on some things that have been happening in the news throughout the week, throughout the last few weeks, the things that might be coming up, hopefully, in the future. I don't know, just interesting stuff like that, and put a little twist of our own on it. So what do we got up first here, Austin?
The huge winter storm in Texas.
Huge winter storm in Texas. That was no kidding. I saw this on Reddit. I was flipping through, and it's like whenever something crazy happens in any part of the U.S., it's like every other post on Reddit is about that. And so I saw this one that was just so inconvenient. This girl's in this parking garage, and she's like, there's, 7 stories to this parking garage. This entire thing is empty. And she's like looking around, and you see there's no cars in it. And she goes, except for my car. And she turns and she faces her car, and right where her car was, there were some water pipes right above it. And right there, the pipes burst, and all the water had flowed down over her car and froze her, like literally probably 3 or 4 inches solid ice encapsulating her entire car. And she was freaking out because she's like, of this entire 7-story empty car garage, the one car that is in there that's mine is the one that just so happens to be where the pipes burst and gets the water all over it. It's one of the funniest things, but also like one of the most painful things to watch.
Well, yeah, because you wouldn't want that to happen to you. You'd be like, man, this sucks a bunch, but I'll make it viral because I was the only car out of a 7-story.
I mean, honestly,
garage.
dude, I saw that and I was just like, oof, that's a pain in the ass. But on
the pain in the ass would be the guy spending $16,752 for his electric bill.
That's what I was going to say
Texas.
next. Is it's crazy is the probably millions of people that have been out of power now, and a lot of them have gotten power back, and some of those that had power throughout the whole thing, they're starting to get their power bills, and they're just astronomical.
It's like skyrocket.
And I was wondering, like, how does that work? If they're not using any more or any less power than they normally would, maybe just a little bit more to crank their heaters up, but I couldn't imagine enough to. That guy that spent $16,000 on his electric bill, it said it was 70 times the normal rate that his utilities were.
And why would that be different, though, if, like you said...
That's what I'm wondering. Is it just like basic supply and demand? They're like, damn, this guy really needs power, and it just so happens to be working in his area. we're the power company. We get to set the price, or I don't know how that works.
So yeah, because only his power line was working, that they're like, well, we're just going to charge this guy. And since everybody else doesn't have any power, we can't really charge them.
Jack the rates.
It's like, yeah, a little monopoly right there.
Yeah, that was something crazy, but it's good to hear that as of today, this article that I read just like 10 minutes ago, it said only about 60,000 people are left without power right now, which, I mean, that's still a lot of people. 60,000 people, that's almost 10 of the towns of Ording that we're sitting in right here. But still, I mean, that's pales in comparison to the millions of people that didn't have power over the weekend.
But you see the difference, though, between how fast power can come back on in areas like Washington. What we have power out for 2 days, a couple months ago, 2-3 days, and it was back on.
Like
Texas,
instantly.
Right? Texas, they have now granted it's a winter storm that hasn't happened like one in 120 years, but it's like, you know, they obviously aren't prepared enough for stuff to happen like that, to where Washington, it's like, oh, yep, power's out again, tree went down.
Oh, damn.
Wind picked up a little more than usual. So
get out there, PSE, go fix it.
Right, yeah, you got like the PSE app on the App Store on your phone, and you're like, oh, yeah, well, shit, my area is still out, you know.
Yeah, I just seeing where there's like millions of people without power is really crazy to me, and it just really goes to show that like how reliant we are on that, because as soon as the power went out down there, it seemed like everything was instantly going to be like, oh shit, things are going south real quick.
Well, like, and
with those temperatures and whatnot, it's like I read reports of people that literally froze to death, like they died in their homes because they had no heat.
Damn, really?
Yeah. People like, well, then you got to imagine like the old people that live by themselves in their apartments or
and they
whatnot.
got like a wood stove or like, you know, something where.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying the old people that don't have the wood stoves and whatnot, that do live off like the electricity and the space heaters and whatnot, and then they don't have the means to like go out or, you know, shovel snow, get out of their apartment, do whatever they need to do, and they're just like sitting in their place, literally freezing to death.
Yeah, that would suck.
That's something else.
Not many blankets could keep you warm enough.
No way.
Like you'd be sitting there with all those like Fred Meyer, like wool $80 blankets.
Oh yeah. Speaking of horrific things that were happening in snow, did you see the shooting that happened outside those folks' house where the man and his wife got killed from the neighbor?
In Philadelphia.
Yeah, they were just like, hey, no, fuck you, you have the snow. Hey, no, screw you, you have the snow. And then the guy was like, no, I'm going to shoot you. And he was like, you ain't going to do shit, bitch, basically. And he came out with the gun and he was like, I still ain't afraid of you. Okay. Pop goes the wife, pop goes the dude. Like, that was some crazy shit.
Yeah, well, and then he went back inside and got an AR.
And, yeah, continued to finish the job.
Yeah, you know, and I'm...
You know, it's crazy because then the story on that one is he went back inside and then committed suicide just before the police showed up. And the worst part about the entire thing is the mom and dad, the family. I mean, yeah, they shouldn't have been egging him on and provoking this and whatnot, but they had a 15-year-old autistic kid sitting upstairs watching the entire thing happen.
Yeah, and he's going to have to rewatch the video like when everything goes into court and stuff. And dude, that is with him for the rest of his life on the internet.
And it's a god-awful thing to happen. Obviously, that guy was not mentally stable, but from my perspective is, at what point do you not just, the family that got killed, at what point do you not just shut the hell up and go, okay, you're right, dude, you've got a gun that you're pointing at me, like, I'm sorry, I'll take all the snow, sure, I don't want to die, like, this guy's obviously insane. Why do you keep trying to provoke him at that point?
Because they probably wanted to act tough. It seemed like the dad was kind of like a bully. You know, the way he was talking, he was like, you know, you're a pussy. You're not going to do anything. Come at me like, oh, you got a gun. You ain't going to do anything. And then like, bruh, to be honest, I probably would have been the same way, to be like, you're not going to do shit. But then if he actually comes out with a gun, I'm, all right, dude, you won.
Yeah.
You won.
Yeah.
Like,
I am not talking any ill of the dead here, but just like, come on, dude, use your head. At that point, you can't.
And protect your wife. Dude, his wife got shot first, and then he gets shot, and he like runs to the garage, and his wife's like out in the middle of the street, and I'm like, dude.
Well, I'm sure he went into shock at that point, and adrenaline kicked in, and he probably went into fight or flight and was just like, okay, got to get the fuck out of here.
I know.
I mean,
but
it's hard to say because neither of us have ever been in that situation.
and we're not married, and you know.
True.
Right, we don't have a guy pointing a gun at us, and he shot both our wives and us. But I don't know, dude. To
Just use some common sense.
well, and then see the people in New York getting beat with metal bats.
I've been reading some reports about. I haven't seen the metal bats one, but I saw where the guy was stabbing people on the subways.
Yeah,
That's like, what is this world coming to?
it's because.
Tell me about this metal bats thing because I
It's
haven't heard anything
it's just
about
people.
that.
It's just people going around New York.
Yeah.
And with metal bats, and if you're like walking out, say you and I are walking out for a freaking like
Get some donuts.
Yeah, get some donuts and a coffee or something. And dude, they just come over and they're like, "What are you doing here? Where are you from?" Like blah blah blah, and then they just start beating the crap out of you with metal bats, and I'm like, what is going on, man?
So that sounds insane to me. This guy stabbing people on these subway trains. I was reading about that the other day. He killed like 4 people within a span of, I want to say, a day and a half, like 24 to 36 hours or something like that. And I saw one of the photos online of the dead people laying on the subway, and he's just in a pool of his own blood, and he just dead as a doornail. And I'm like, God, what could drive someone to do such horrific things? Like, it was a homeless man that had a machete, and he was going around just whacking people. And I'm like, dude, what is this world coming to? People getting clubbed with baseball metal bats and whatnot, people getting stabbed, someone shooting his neighbor over shoveling snow. Like, what the fuck, man?
Just people being locked up, not being able to do what they want to do, feel like they're caged in. I feel like it's really getting to some people.
Yeah,
and I could see it. I've been doing the same stuff every day for like the last year?
Probably a year now.
Year and a couple months, and it's just been the same stuff. Go to work, come home, because you can't go to the movies. Can't really. I mean, we can go to the restaurants now, but in the beginning, it was like you can't go do anything. And I feel like with some states opening and then other states not opening, those states that aren't opening up as much are looking at the states like us that are kind of opening up a little more here and there. Or like they're like, yo, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Like, why are they opening and we're not opening? What are they doing that you guys aren't doing in your offices right now? Like, let's get a move on. And I think some of those people are getting irritated, and water boils, man. Spills over the edge.
Kind of relates to what we talked about a few episodes ago with the whole depression thing, and people like you said, just being locked up and then doing the same thing day in and day out, and they just slip into that slump of like, oh my God, life is miserable. I hate my life. And obviously some people take it worse than others, and we all have our own mental challenges.
Our own demons we got to face.
Yeah, everyone's different, but I think it affects some people more than others. And obviously that guy, I don't know if the corona pandemic and being locked up was him, or if he was just a Looney Tune and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But I mean, what do we do here?
I think it's a little bit of everything.
What do we do? Do we have more gun control laws? Do we, have more mental stability sort of?
These are all their own separate debates. When it comes to the guns, it's like,
that's true.
What he obviously hadn't done anything for him to not be able to buy a gun according to the laws in America. He had an AR, he had a pistol, like.
Well, we don't know if he got those legally, though.
But they never said he didn't get it illegally.
True.
And they never said guy with illegal guns, like, murders family.
Yeah.
Dude probably had a permit to have all of his guns. He probably went hunting. He was a hunter or something, like, and something just boiled over him. And I think it goes back to, like, the family arguing with him. Because I think there was stuff that was going on beforehand that, really said it to the point.
This wasn't just like a one-time thing.
No, it wasn't like they just came out and they were like, like, what do you do?
No, fuck you.
Yeah, like throwing snow on each other's yards. It was like, that's some petty stuff right there if you really do shoot someone over a one morning experience. But you can tell in the video, the guy's like, I'll make your life a living hell living in this neighborhood. Like, you ain't gonna do shit. And it's like, dude, the guy wants to talk big. Now you got a guy who comes out who's tired of his shit and he's got a gun. Like, you know,
obviously there's more that led up to this than what we saw just in this single video.
And with the depression part, you think, you know, I think the lockdown has a huge part of it. I think COVID pandemic really has a huge part in depression for people these days because, you know, people joke about like people being sheep and like, you know, like you're all followers and shit. But like, you know, when you're locked down, we're all locked down. We actually do feel like caged animals.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know, I like to go to movies.
Dude, last year
I would go to movies just to get out of the house, you know?
When this all started last year, I can remember being home for like 3 weeks straight and literally not leaving my house and just being like, dude, I've been in my house for 21 days straight and I've showered like 7 times. This isn't okay. I need it's like once every 3 days, but still I was just like, dude, I need to get my life back together. This is miserable. And then we got this shit rolling and whatnot, and finally we got our podcast going, and like things started opening back up, and we can do restaurants again, and like I started working again, and gym opened back up. I feel like I'm getting my life back on track finally, but I mean, we're not at the point where we can do what we want to do, go out freely, not wear masks, all that kind of stuff. And I know that there's a lot of people out there now that are just kind of the mindset where it's like, hey man, we're at the point now where if you don't want to go out, just don't go out. If you want to go out and risk it, go out and risk it. Like, that's up to you. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I want everybody to be safe and I want everyone to be okay. But I am very much of that same mindset where it's like, hey, if you're willing to risk it, you're willing to risk it. Because I know I definitely am. I'm a bartender. I want to go out and I want to sling some drinks and make some money. You know what I'm saying?
Like, well, here's the thing, though. When we went to the store today, the guy who was helping us out, double masking.
I saw that. I noticed that. I didn't say anything, but...
Well, obviously, we're not going to say anything out in public because everybody has a right to their own opinion, but it's like, I feel like what you were saying, where there's two sides of it, you're either double masking, not going out unless you absolutely have to, like if your job requires you to go out, or if you got a doctor's, whatever the hell you got to do, or then you have guys like us who are just like, dude, like... We got to
risk it. You want to risk it.
We got to do it. Yeah. Like, you know, if I want to go outside, I'm going to go outside. If I want to go to the store, I'll still wear a mask. I don't think I need to double mask though. I think that, what's your opinion on that? Do you see it like people double masking now?
I mean, I get it. If it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, I mean, if it's just the same as wearing one mask, it's the same as wearing one mask. If it's better to wear 2, then if people feel comfortable wearing 2, wear 2. But if I'm not required to do it where I'm going, I ain't gonna fucking do it.
It's hard enough for me to wear just one mask.
Well, like, I go to the gym. I wear my mask at the gym just because I know, like, my brother, he doesn't wear it. I'm sure you don't wear one. It's like, you just don't wear it. I don't. And I see other people at the gym that don't wear it, and that doesn't really affect me. I do it more so that if anyone wants to talk shit, or if the people that work there say something, it's just kind of like, hey man, I'm following the rules that you guys told me to fucking follow. I'm not trying to break any rules here. I'm just here to work out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't.
And so, I don't know. The whole double mask thing though is kind of just like everything. They keep changing. The whole WHO or the CDC or whoever's been telling us this whole mask, the CDC.
Yeah.
This whole mask deal. First, it was in the beginning, it was, oh, wear a mask, it's going to save your life. And then it was, oh, masks don't really do much for you. It doesn't really matter. And then it was back to, oh my God, we got to wear masks or else we're all going to croak and die. And now it's, oh Jesus, a single mask isn't good enough. We got to wear 2 masks. Well, we were 9-10 months into this whole pandemic nonsense before they started saying wear a double mask. And if we were doing just fine for the first 10 months of it, not double masking it, and now all of a sudden we got a double mask, like, I don't know if I agree with the legitimacy on that, you know?
My thing is, throughout this whole pandemic, like you've said, everybody's had different rules and different, like, beliefs on what's happened. And yet, like, the numbers have been rising. Like, the U.S. is almost to 500,000 deaths. But we've also like plummeted like per deaths like per day. Like
we're definitely doing a lot better, and we're doing a lot more. Another thing that I just read today is we've got a lot more vaccinations than Canada. Even we are like far and above Canada right now.
Well, I see people getting vaccinated who would have, like, according to the rules, like phase 1 and phase 2, where you got to be like 65 or older, live in a nursing home or something. I'm seeing kids I went to college with a couple of years ago, like, who are only a couple of years younger than me, and they're getting vaccinated. I'm like,
I don't quite know how they're getting it, but I also have an idea because it's like my grandparents, they fit the description. They're 80 years old. They don't really have any pre-existing conditions. My grandpa was a smoker some of his life, so it's kind of like I think he has an option to get it first. Either way, they had an opportunity to get it right off the rip, basically, and they kind of said, not yet. We'll wait and see how it works. But then they came to me and they were like, hey, we know you're only 26, but we kind of got this in here. If you want to get the vaccine, we can get it for you. And I was like, you know what? Go ahead and save that for someone else that probably needs it a little more than me. I strongly feel like I've already had it twice. I've never tested positive for it, but both times that I got sick, once back in December 2019, right before this whole thing blew up, I got stupid sick, like bedridden for 3 days. And then once the pandemic started and all the symptoms came out and they started naming them off, this, smell, taste, blah, 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 you're going to be exhausted. Literally had all of them. And I was like, oh shit, I probably had the Rona. Bam, happened again this year. I got sick for just a few days, but it wasn't so bad. I was just kind of like, I just slept it off for a day. And then after like 2 days, I couldn't smell or taste anything, but it was after I had gotten better. I was like fully felt fine going back to work. And then all of a sudden it was like, I can't taste this. Why does this soda just taste like carbonation? This is weird. But I was fine. Like I totally felt fine. I wasn't like, no cold sweats. I wasn't exhausted. I wasn't any of those kind of weird symptoms or anything. I was just kind of like, this is weird. I can't smell or taste anything. That went away. So I told my grandparents, I'm like, I'm probably fine. I don't need to get this vaccine. So I could kind of see how maybe some kids our age have this opportunity to get it, as well as I know someone else our age that has heart conditions. And she's like, hey, I'm in like one of those higher end phases. I'm only 24 years old, but I get the vaccine here pretty soon.
Well, she has a heart condition.
Yeah,
that
true.
makes sense. I'm talking about the dudes who I just played soccer with 2 years ago who are healthier.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about dudes out who are athletes.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with them.
I don't know then, man. I don't know how this whole thing works because like I was reading that article that was talking about the U.S. and Canada and how we differ in like our cases and whatnot, and the vaccinations, and how the U.S. has vaccinated, at the time that I had read this earlier today, 20,500,000 plus people, and Canada had only vaccinated 1.4 million. And I was like, what? How is this happening? So I kept reading into it, and basically Canada's just been having some like distribution hookups. They're not getting as many vaccinations from Pfizer and Moderna as basically are shipping throughout the U.S. And so and it's going to be a little more stringently, they're going to be watching it a little more in Canada, like more structured. And in the U.S., things like this can happen. Hey, I can get you the vaccine if you want it, like my grandparents saying to me. Whereas in Canada, they're going to be more like, no, you get it. Okay, now you get it.
You think people can come over here and try and get it? So like since Canada's since they're not distributing it, enough out there, like people are like, well, let's go see if we can try and snag some from America real quick.
Is that the one time Canadians come to America because they're like, oh man, something's better here?
They come for hockey games. They come for the Stanley Cup playoffs too.
Okay. Is that usually played in the U.S.?
Well, if like a Canadian team's playing the U.S. in the playoffs, yeah.
I wonder, how did when hockey restarted?
For this year or for when they did the bubble last year?
I guess just explain this to me. Was there any time where international borders between Canada and U.S. caused any sort of hiccup where it was like, oh shit, so we can't play this game because we have to quarantine 14 days and that's going to interfere with our schedule? Or did anything like that happen?
Not during the bubble season because everybody was in that bubble for the playoffs and it was just a playoff season. But for this one, Canada, so this guy got traded from a U.S. team, or no, from a Canadian team to a U.S. team. That's a 2-week quarantine.
Okay.
To go back, because he got traded again back to a different Canadian team, like 2 days later. That's another 2 weeks.
Had he even moved yet, though?
So they don't know if he had moved. I don't believe he moved because you're not going to like trade for a guy and then be like, hey, move to the U.S. for like 2 days, and then literally by the time you get here, your ass is going back to like Toronto or something.
Well, not only that, but I'm sure professional athletes don't just up and yeet their life in 2 days. Like, okay,
yeah, exactly.
Woo, there's all my possessions.
Right, you got a family, a house, cars, all that. But yeah, no, so I think he stayed in Canada because he knew he was going to get traded to another Canadian team after he got traded. It was like to Carolina.
So did he have to like have any delays in gameplay?
Not because... No, because he was going just from the Canadian team, from one Canadian team to the other Canadian team.
All right.
So he didn't have to quarantine. But that is the rule for trading in the NHL for this year. If you go from like a Canadian team to a U.S. team, that's a 2-week quarantine.
I wonder if it's the same in like MLB because I know they got like the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah. Just the Toronto Blue Jays.
Toronto, that's right.
In Canada. Yeah, no, for Canada, it's literally just going to be Toronto for, like, the major sports.
Okay.
So, but, yeah, no, that would have been crazy if he was out for a month of the season. So they already cut 30 games, 20-something games.
Oh, damn. So how long is the season this year?
It's like 59 or
how many months is the
63,
season go?
It's like 3.
So basically
months.
A third of his season would have just been out the window.
Yeah, would have been out because he would have had a quarantine for a month. Yeah, that would have sucked.
That would have sucked ass for him.
That would have been awful. So for the NHL, it's just 2 weeks.
What if couldn't they just like come down, test him real quick? Like, nope, you're negative. Okay, safe to play.
No.
See, that's what I don't understand is if we've got testing, why do we have to have this quarantining time? Can't you just, test him when he gets here, say it's negative, give him 2 days, test him again. I don't know where 2 days comes from, maybe 3 days. Just give him an X amount of time, test him again. Okay, we've got 2 negatives now. Boom, he can play. Like, I feel like that should be fair.
It should, well, I don't understand it either because I was listening to Cody Garbrandt with Joe Rogan the other day, MMA fighter. He was getting tested like every other day when he had it. And they were like, yeah, dude, you just keep testing positive for it, so we're just not going to test you anymore. And then like 2-3 months down the road, they tested him, and they were like, hey, yeah, you don't have it anymore. But for that...
They waited 2 or 3 months?
Because every single time, they were testing him 2-3 times a day for like two weeks.
Oh, okay.
And it was getting to the point where like, dude, we're pissing money away because we know this guy has COVID, but because he had a fight coming up or something, so he was trying to like, no, I don't have it, or
okay, so he was really trying to push to be able to fight.
So he wanted to fight and everything, but like, yeah, to test that person that amount of times and then have barely any vaccinations for some others, or like. It's weird for however many times people get tested, it could be every day or. They get tested and we got to wait 2 weeks, whereas this person got tested and it's like an hour.
Fuck
or
it.
It's like one of those instant ones.
You want to do any sports, just fly out to Abu Dhabi on one of those rich oligarch.
Do the fight island.
Do the fight island.
Oh, dude,
let's just do all sports out there, man. Say fucking build
badass.
A baseball field out there.
So badass.
Build a football field.
Oh, man.
Soccer.
The baseball stadium will be looking like those like the little Japanese baseball games you play on your phone, the baseball superstars or something. Like, oh, man, I would dig it. I would watch it. The problem is over here, it'd be like 4 a.m. We got to watch something.
Right.
Because they're like a day ahead of us, or like,
dude. When this whole pandemic hit though, and sports were not a thing,
and that was all there was the fight. I was gonna say
I was watching like 3 a.m. underwater basket weaving on the internet to see who could weave the fastest basket. I was putting bets on anything. I was like, dude, I'll watch seahorse racing. I don't give a shit, man. Like, I just want to see some sports here.
I was watching Australian rules football. About like the Fubo TV app where it's like all
now,
sports.
Now, is that football, soccer, or is that like American football with Australian rules?
So Australian rules football, there's like 3 field goal looking posts, and then dude, it's nuts.
But I'm saying, are they playing like football, like American football?
They got this rugby shaped ball where you can kick it so far, like pretty far, because it's light. But you can run with it like a football, but you got to bounce it every 16 meters, which would be like 16 yards or something.
So there's no like stop and play
They're stop and play if like they get tackled. Well, no, because they get
So
tackled.
is it like rugby / American football combined sort of shit?
/ soccer, like.
Dude, that sounds baller. I need to check that out.
It's actually like, and these dudes wreck each other. I'll show you a video I have on my phone that I saved from like 3-4 years ago. I was like 2 a.m. I'm watching it. Because when Dad and I went down to Australia, we went and saw the Sydney Swans play.
Yeah.
I loved it. I had no idea what was going on, but I loved it. And Dad told me like everything afterwards. He was like, these are the rules, blah, blah, blah.
Dad, why didn't you tell me that before? This would have been way more enjoyable.
Came home from Australia, didn't really think about it, you know. Like I got a Australian rules football from it.
That's cool.
Which I don't know where it's at now, but got that. And like that was kind of like the last time I really looked into it. Well, as I'm older now, I started watching it again during the pandemic because it was all that was on the Fubo app. Yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. Oh, dude, there's some of these guys are just kneeing each other in the back.
Talk about CTE.
Oh, dude, they'll get like bandaged up in the middle of like the play. Like they'll like whistle. They'll be like, yeah, this guy's like dead. Bandage him up. He gets bandaged up. He's like, yeah, I'm good to go.
Someone sew his skull back together. Put some staples in his head.
Comes running back on the field. You're like, dude, this guy has brain damage to the max.
Oh,
you
no.
can already tell. I mean, I've seen so many guys get laid out and they seize up instantly as soon as because their backs will just like, boom, hit the ground and their head will bounce up because they just got knees speared from some dude trying to catch. Because the ball, a lot of guys will kick it up in the air and it's like flyers up because there's a huge circle at the end where if you catch it in that circle, you're safe. You get to back up 10 yards and either take a kick into one of the posts or you can continue play.
So you at least get an opportunity to not get fucking slaughtered.
Well, you get slaughtered, but you better hold on to the ball when you get slaughtered.
Well, I mean, if you said if you catch it in that circle, you get an opportunity.
Yeah, but these dudes are like, it's flyers up, and there's no like, it's not like middle school flyers up where like we're all sitting there with our arms up and whoever can jump higher.
There's one guy waiting to just spear you.
Bro, there's one guy who's eyeing the guy who's looking up to go get the ball, and he's like, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to spear this man. And they'll go up with both their knees like soccer goalie like, and they'll like knee each other in the head and like and in the back, and like dudes are seizing up like halfway through midair, like falling, hitting the ground, getting 2 freaking concussions at the same time. Like
I need to watch this.
I'll show you the video after
good.
This episode, but it's actually, so I was watching that and I think that I got like 2 or 3 of my friends into that sport now.
Fuck it. Let's wrap this bitch up. I want to see that.
Yeah. No, sounds good.
So here we go. Like we said, we're going to get a few more cameras. We're going to put some more, couple
get some
different
beautiful
angles.
shots of us.
Yeah, we need to get a few more tripods, things like that. We'll be a little more prepared next week. We'll have some more info, data, statistics. We're just trying some things out for this episode here. First one with video. We're going to get the editing down. Might be a little bit funky trying to sync it up this week because it's been a long time.
It's been a while, yeah. It's been about, what, a year and a half since college?
At least, every
bit. But we
of.
figured out the basics to get this going. So
I mean, we got the board working.
We did okay. We paid a little attention.
We got mics. We got something to work, so.
We got voices.
So what do we think? The Alternative News Podcast sound good to you?
The Alternative News Podcast.
All right. I like it. You have been listening to the Alternative News Podcast with Cole Strasberg and
Austin McKenzie.
You.
Woo!